Welcome into the KSR Football Podcast. It's a three-man show today. Nick Roush with Adam Luckett and Drew Franklin. Max Duffy's a little under the weather. Not sure if he's hurt or injured. We'll have to get back with you on that. I think he was probably just hurt, a little banged up. But availability report was downgraded to out just prior to kickoff. So an unfortunate development, but one you might expect after raucous weekend in Lexington.
I'd say Miles Butler might have had something to do with
maybe.
the Duffy illness. Those two, when they get together, like to have a good time, and Miles visited for the weekend. So we'll blame Miles.
They're like the Bash Brothers. Those Mighty Ducks, too.
Oh, man.
Dean Portman, Fulton
There
Reed.
we go. Fulton Reed.
Nice.
When those two are together, watch out. Watch out. Was it D2 when he starts throwing his pads in the stands?
That's D3.
D3. Okay. Great movies, nevertheless. Mighty Ducks. We're not here to talk Mighty Ducks today, despite what you may think. We're here to talk Kentucky football. Where the Cats, they beat Murray State 48-6 over the weekend. A nice blowout win. Kentucky covered the spread. It wasn't always pretty, but they got the job done, and now we're on to Texas, where all three of us will be down there this weekend to watch Wildcats play at DKR Texas Memorial Stadium for the first time ever. Mr. Luckett, do you remember the last time Kentucky played at Texas?
I know they played in 1951.
There you go.
When that game was. I only know that because I looked it up this morning.
It was the first game after Kentucky beat Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl. So they went Red River back-to-back and lost 7-6, which, man, it's got to be tough to be the kicker when you lose 7-6.
Yeah, hard to look in the mirror after that one.
Unrelated, is Justin Tucker, is everything okay with him?
I saw people are now calling for him to fake an injury so he doesn't hurt his record percentage because it's just slowly dropping closer and closer to second with each new game he plays.
I just don't understand. I'm not a kicker. This would be a good time to have Max, but he's a little banged up. I don't know how you can go from having it to not having it just like that. It happened quickly, too. Where all of a sudden he's just not the most automatic kicker in the NFL. I know there were maybe a few cracks in the foundation last year, but it has just spiraled. And as a Steelers fan, I'm not mad about it whatsoever, but that was all the difference in the game yesterday.
Yeah, I like how he misses field goals against the Steelers, but not against the Bengals.
Yeah.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, funny how that works.
He's put the Titans out a couple times, too.
Are you okay? Is your football season has been kind to you, Mr. Luckett?
No, it's not been a fun season, but no crying from KS Boat here. KS Bar. So
the KS Boat. We need more KS branded things. What haven't we done? We've got KS Board, KS Bar, KSR. What are the things we're missing out on?
We've thrown a lot of KSs around.
KS Beer.
Yeah, we don't have a KS beer, do we?
KS Bourbon.
We've had a KS beer before. It was a temporary. I want these putt places are so popular. I want to open KS Par, and it's like KS Bar, but it has the indoor putt. I think that should be our next adventure.
I like that idea. KS Boat too, or KS Bus. You all do all these road trips, Drew. Just why not have a KS Bus?
No, I've never wanted KS Bus more than I wanted this upcoming trip to Seattle, where we have too many people and too many pieces of luggage for one SUV.
Oh man, I'm sure you're gonna have a great time, Drew.
Harry Douglas almost broke his neck.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Well, that wasn't the bad one. The first one was worse.
Little Bills Mafia,
jumping off tables.
Not everybody's built for it.
I would like to jump through a table once upon a time. Oh, gosh, he did almost break his
Ryan put Cash Daniel through a table right out here before a big game last year. Or 2 years ago.
Ryan put Cash through a table or the other way around?
Excuse me, yeah. No.
I was about to say,
wow,
I can't.
A little dyslexia kicking in there.
I can't.
No.
Just the thought of Ryan picking up Cash.
Wrestling's an incredible sport.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I kind of wanted to be thrown through a table during times of that third quarter on Saturday. I will say there's times, sometimes when you do the rapid reaction, the rapidness of it, there's a reason why they have a cool down period after games before the coaches come and talk and do interviews. Because, I was maybe a little fired up, Drew, after that third quarter. Because when Kentucky had the ball, it was actually kind of nice. It was like, Cutter Boley, slinging it around. He's completing passes. He's got some wheels on him. So I think in hindsight, maybe it was a little over rapid reaction. It was just the penalties and the length of it where even Mark Stoops after the game was like, I'll be quick because that was a long one. I don't think anybody anticipated the Murray State game lasting 4 hours.
Yeah, I even kind of wrote a post with the same theme. We don't want to take away from what Boley in the second half youth movement did. Because, they did a lot of good things. That was fun to watch. It was the 52 penalties and the hour-long third quarter that kind of weighed on everyone a little heavily there, because that was pretty unbelievable and unexpected for a game where everyone thought, 130 kick, FCS team, all but guaranteed win. Let's just go through there, running in, get out, have a good night. And they still managed to wait, kind of have a little agonizing stretch there.
And the same mistakes for the same mistakes. Like you get in low red zone, can't finish drives. Sacks, get behind the chains, penalties. Jamari Wilcox is a 73-yard run, gets brought back. He runs over the right side, but the left tackle gets a holding penalty. I think that was part of it felt like a slog a little bit, and I think that played a role in that.
But to the youth movement, which I feel like we need a new term for it, because I just think of bowel movement. When it's the opposite of a bowel movement, it's good to see some young players in action. Sometimes a bowel movement is what you need. A good BM, they can go a long way. So this is a good YM, a good youth movement. We're seeing more young players play. Not really sure. The hard part of this, Luckett, is like, you wrote about it on KS Board. Sign up now, promo code UK1. That'll get you 2 months for $1. It's going to be an eventful 2 months for this Kentucky football program. Been pretty eventful for basketball, too. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Come check us out over at KSR Plus on KS Board. But the most recent time we experienced one of these, it was at the end of the 2022 season, and that was not a good end to the season. That was not an exciting finish to cap off a year.
Well, many weren't excited with me for pointing this out, but my point was that in 2022, at the end of the year, you were like, it's a bad year, but hey, they've got some young talent on offense, can really do something with that. Like, we've got these two receivers that we're really excited about.
Dane Key, Barry and
We've
Brown.
got these, Josh Caddis really came on as a tight end at the end. Jagger Burton was young, the starter, but I don't think everyone they thought he could get better and show something. Or this year, where you got the quarterback you're excited about potentially. Jamari Wilcox has shown real things when given opportunities. Seen some stuff from Willie Rodriguez. Harley Gilmore is a guy we haven't seen yet, but he's played 30-plus snaps the last 2 games, and you saw him catch a big dig route against Tennessee. You also saw him make a drop. But, again, you see some of his potential. But the hard part is it's just like, well,
how did those guys turn out?
The guys we're excited about, they were excited about in 2022 are still on the roster. And so we're having this conversation not conversation, but this is what's happening now. And it feels like they're making a little bit of a push to play some of these young guys. So it's almost like, are we in like a never ending cycle? What's going on here? And so that is the tricky dynamic here. And again, I think part of the reason we heard Mark Stoops today, Nick, Brock Vandegrift is our starting quarterback, is because I think over the last couple weeks, a dynamic was created that the quarterback position was open with how everything was kind of handled. And so it leaves people speculating, is there a quarterback competition or what's going on? There's reasons to think that for how they've handled the position all year. And so we'll see what happens these next 2 games. But Stoops talked about the need for continuity today, which is also, I think, interesting. He leads the press conference off with, hey, Texas is having this big season. One of the reasons I think they're having a big season is because they have staff continuity. We haven't, and they've had the same starting quarterback for, 3 seasons now?
That's helped them quite a bit. But at the same time, on my radio show, we had a drop for the longest time about you're bringing all these guys back, but what if they weren't very good, right? So, how much continuity do you even want from this team moving forward when they're a 4 or 5 win team? Maybe a 6-win team. Who knows? Something crazy could happen. Kentucky's best games are against the best teams. That's frustrating for fans. It's like, could you just not do this against the, not so good teams?
Texas has come down to earth a little bit. Maybe a little bit.
Offensively,
chug it.
Offensively, I think you could point to Texas having some issues. Running game's just iffy. I think four of the last 5 games, Quinn Ewers against SEC competition, has averaged under 7 yards per attempt, something along those lines. But the defense is awesome. So it's like, how does Kentucky score against this defense?
It's a great question. How do they score against any defense? They did get 48 points on Saturday, though, like you said. But to go back to your point that you made, where it's like, all right, these young guys, we're seeing a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, maybe, where big picture-wise they could help us down the road. The whole back and forth on who's the quarterback, who's the receiver, who's the running back, there's been so much mixed messaging this year at seemingly every position, whether it's quarterback, you've got Brock, but then you're playing Gavin a half dozen snaps a game, and then all of a sudden Gavin's getting a half, but now he's not playing at all unless you absolutely have to play him. And then you go to running back, where the last time we saw Wilcox, he gets career highs in yards and carries, and then the coaches are saying, well, we've got to get him the ball more, and then oh, no, he doesn't get the ball for an entire quarter. So it's like, well, which one is it? Right? We can't figure it out. They want to get back to this physical offensive line play, but at the same time, they're going to have to go to the portal to get offensive linemen, and they're talking about it. Like, I can't put my finger on it because it's just it's been mixed messaging all year, and it's really frustrating because they're saying one thing and then they're doing another. They're changing their minds constantly. They're feeding Dane Key and Berrien Brown constantly, and I know Berrien he missed half the Tennessee game. He was out Saturday, but then I mean, how many catches did Dane get? What, two or three? Yeah, like it's like you go all in on these guys, but now we're going to spread it around. Like I can't. Snip, snap. I mean, that's what this year's been.
I think part of the mixed messaging is just a lack of identity. I think part of the reason we're hearing mixed messaging is because they don't know who they are.
Oh, man.
I wasn't there today, but I was confused on Saturday why there was no Wilcox for a quarter, and then it's the Wilcox show. It should already be the Wilcox show, and I didn't know did he explain anything about that today, or has there been any more indication?
He's the same as everybody. He's just the same, Drew. He just is who he is.
Okay.
And then
was that the answer? I'm genuinely asking.
That was the answer on Saturday. But that's the same thing as apply to him, where it's like we're going to play nice with him, but he should tie his shoes, because if he can't, he won't play. But then we have to play him. It's just this whole like, we're going hard one way, we're going hard the other way. I can't figure it out. And that's what's made this team just so frustrating on a personal level for me to cover and try to figure out, is just like, what are you? Who are you? What are you going to be? You're different every single week. And can you share those ATS stats, Luckett, with our viewers about?
Kentucky's 4-6 on the year. 6-4 against the spread.
6-4 against the spread. That's pretty good, right?
They are 3-0 against G5 and FCS competition as a big favorites in all those.
So they're beating the crap out of the teams they should, and they're covering the spread. Check.
They are 3-0 as an underdog with one outright win.
We're doing great. Yeah, that's what. Good job, Mark Stoops.
And they've been a dog of 15-plus points in all of those games. And they had the ball in each of those games in the fourth quarter with a chance to take the lead.
That's great, right? Well, but wait, there's more.
They have been an SEC favorite 4 times, are 0-4 outright, 0-4 against the spread, and trailed by double digits in the fourth quarter in each of those games. And 3 of those kind of got housed. So the Auburn could have felt like it should have been a 21-point loss. Florida was a housing, and South Carolina was, they really pulled away late. So,
but other than that,
so Jekyll and Hyde, right?
Well, and the thing too, like it is, I know there's some people out there who are like, I'm not a gambler, I'm not a degenerate. But the thing about when you use the ATS stats, that's a good bar of expectation.
That's where you were viewed in a power ranking heading into a matchup. That's why they're good to view, to see if you're overachieving or underachieving these baseline expectations that's set for you.
And that's been the season.
For people who want to get that right. Like, they're trying to get that right, whether you believe that's degenerate behavior or not. It's a way to weigh, I think, over expectations. Are you underachieving or are you overachieving? Which one are you?
And so they're overachieving when they're big dogs, like they will be this weekend at Texas. They're doing what they should do against the bad G5 teams, but it was it's really all of those toss-up games that define how you think about a season. All of those 50-50 games coming into the year, and the coin just keeps going the wrong way.
Their most important games are when they're failing the most.
So what does that tell us about the final 2 games? That's a question we're going to answer right after I tell you about our friends at Club Blue NIL, official partner of the University of Kentucky Athletics, where you pick the sport you want to support, and that money is going directly to that sport. So you want to support Kenny Brooks and his crew? They're pretty darn good, up to number 15 in the AP poll after knocking out those Louisville Cardinal Birds on Saturday night. That was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed talking trash to Louisville fans about women's basketball on Sunday. That was incredible. So that's what's great about Club Blue. You pick the sport you want to support, and you can see those dividends. Sign up, clubbluenil.com. You're going to get plenty of perks, rewards with your contributions, whether you're meet and greets with players, merchandise, signed memorabilia, clubbluenil.com. Go ahead, sign up today to support University of Kentucky Athletics. So that's my question to you, Drew, is saying everything that Luckett just said. What does that mean about the Texas and Louisville games?
That's exact. Not that there's a lot of confidence in Big Blue Nation, because there's not.
No.
But if there's any confidence, it's because this team does exactly the opposite of what you think they're going to do. At Ole Miss, when they go and win, I think a lot of people at that point had already wondered what Kentucky is at all, and they go and surprise us and get a win. The people going to Austin, I think we're just hanging on to that little bit of, they keep showing up in these games. Mm-hmm. Austin, what do they say? Keep Austin weird. This whole season's been weird. Let's keep this season weird down at Austin and just keep it going one more time. And Texas's result last week helps a little bit. I'm trying to talk myself into something here, but no, just the way they play in the big games is at least the thing that's keeping us all interested in the game and excited about it.
And I know there's some people out there too who they're tuned out, right? Oh, these games don't matter. This season's it's a lost season no matter what. And I don't think you can do the not ShamWow. What, the guy who smacks the
Lawson Lager?
No. Who?
Oh,
the Flex Heel, the Flex Heel guy, Phil Swift with Flex Heel. So you can't just smack the bandage on it like you did last year when Ray Davis ran all over Louisville. But the games should matter. And I think it's.
Could you smack 2 bandages on it, though? What if you had 2 holes and you plugged them both?
I would be angry. I would be like, well, then where the hell were you the rest of the year?
That's true.
But particularly the Louisville game. You know, like I got this sneaky suspicion about Texas where you mentioned it, like they haven't played as well as of late. They're going to want to be humming and buzzing and fire on all cylinders for this A&M game. I think they're going to just come out and be at their best for this Kentucky game. But notwithstanding whatever happens this Saturday, that Louisville game, that's going to tell me a lot about just what's going on up here, what's going on in that locker room. Because
culture game.
Because going into that Florida game, we had the similar opinion where, all right, they're not playing well. They just lost to Vandy, game they shouldn't have lost. But Stoops always gets his guys ready for this Florida game. Win or loss, they're ready to play. They're fired up, and that didn't happen, right? Mm-hmm. Going back to 2014, and I know they lost that game. They lost in 15 too. But they've been ready to play in every single one of those games against Louisville. If they come out and lay a dud for the noon kickoff, that's not the vote of confidence that Mark Stoops kind of needs in that game. So that's where kind of my head's at. Like, these games should matter, especially that last one against Louisville, which noon kickoff, we found out today. So not a flex, not an afternoon, not an evening, and I'm a little happy about it.
What was up there, though? I thought we were assured it was 3:30 to 8.
We were.
Next game. They just stepping outside the rules?
We were, yeah.
What's up with that?
Just make it up as you go, apparently.
Rules are meant to be broken.
I read when that came out how the scheduling and the releases work.
Yep.
It said 3:30 to 8. I even wrote my morning, but they're making me look like a liar.
Wow.
I wrote between 3:30 and 8.
Greg Sankey has made Drew Franklin a liar.
I mean, I don't lie.
I thought they would even go and change the print on the original August
release.
Yeah. Didn't. Still, so flex is 3:30 or later kickoff. No noon.
And what I think happened is that Vandy got good, and they're like, ooh. But that game's even at noon.
Mickey Mouse called and said, we don't want this game in 3. We'd rather have these other games. And they were like, okay. That's what happened.
Yeah.
I would assume.
But you like it.
Oh, yeah. And a part of it too, like somebody joked on KS board, it's like, well, we won't have to stay up all night making threads about what Stoops is going to do in the future, because as soon as that game ends, it's just like, all right, what's next? Win, loss, or draw, no matter what.
I would prefer it to be a night so we didn't have to do that, so we didn't have to sit around the computer.
Merge threads all night. But the playing the waiting game, I just don't like. And then rivalry weekend, like, I want to watch that Texas A&M game. I might get home in time to watch that, so that'd be nice. And also noon, the sun. We stepped out at halftime, and I thought people were waiting in line for something. I'm like, what's the big draw over here? No, it was just the sun. People were standing in the one area where the sunshine was, because it was like 10 or 15 degrees warmer. It'll be warmer for the noon kickoff. So great job, Mickey Mouse. Thanks for calling us in and getting that game at noon.
Hopefully there's still some fan enthusiasm around there. I don't know. Normally you would want a night game in that scenario. I don't know that we would have been bringing our fastball regardless. So maybe noon you'll just get the people that were going to be there and people in for Thanksgiving, have a nice little Thanksgiving tailgate, and we'll try to have a good atmosphere. But I worry if they get killed at Texas, what kind of BBN shows up for that Governor's Cup.
Again, I think that's fair, but I also think, like, this Saturday should be a lesson in that if there's a certain amount of season tickets sold, what do they sell? 40,000 season tickets?
Yeah.
That's how many people were at the game.
Yeah. It was a solid crowd, and there was a lot of, like, pictures being shared an hour or two before kickoff or 20 minutes before kickoff. Oh, there's nobody here. And then the game starts, and a lot of the stadium's full.
Yeah, I just think this just wasn't a 2012 situation at all.
No.
2012, they didn't sell any tickets. There was no one at those games all year, or 2011 for that matter.
Yeah, you had good weather.
The real interesting part is Stoops returns. What's next year? How many season tickets do they sell next year?
If you believe the internet, some people will not be signing back up of those season ticket holders.
I think that's...
Now, I'm not saying it's a big group, but they're loud and they're out there.
I think that's for sure. I think that's going to happen. There's more. Isn't there more tailgate changes coming?
Yes. Taking out some of the OGs of tailgating this year. Put in more corporate.
That is going to happen. Just how big is that going to be?
Yeah.
But they just had a couple-year run here where I think season tickets were really high. Heck, even the students showed up to the Murray State game.
They were there so early. They were there. They've done it all year. Congratulations, students. This current student class, I don't know if you're young, old, all of you, you go to everything and you get there early. Great job.
Much better than me as a student. Just not a lot of participation, a lot of showing up late, a lot of leaving early. Maybe not of my own volition, maybe because I was asked to leave early because we might have gotten a little too rowdy.
I left the Randall Cobb beating South Carolina game early.
Oh, no. See, that was one where I may have been overserved a little bit, but, we
were thirsty.
We mixed in some waters once we got there, and we made it to the end. It was funny, though. I was talking to our pal Stephen Peak, who's talking about student attendance for basketball games against Poop State, and I didn't have the heart. I had to tell Peak, buddy, I went to maybe 3 basketball games a year. I was a bad student, But you guys, you are great student fans. You've done a great job, even for Murray State, which I don't know if I would have made it to the game. I would have made it to the tailgate.
Yeah.
You only get so many of those, Drew.
It was later because you all mentioned good tailgating, and I was only about 30 minutes before you, and I didn't see much tailgating. So they must have all just decided we're doing an hour of it, not the whole experience.
I will say, I even told Roush, as soon as we got to the red light, I was like, this is surprisingly full.
Yeah.
And there were people, legitimate, I would say, tailgating.
Yeah, having a good time.
Now, I wouldn't say it was anything crazy. It was probably the worst tailgate setup of the year.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
But there was people at the game. You knew you were going to a football game. There was going to be people there.
The flyover was cool. That was a nice little addition to the game. Heroes Day. UK always does a good job of honoring our heroes. And then that B-52 coming over was neat.
I hate to admit how much I love the flyover, Drew. It's like something.
I saw you ducking in that press box to get the best.
Oh yeah, well, and here's another thing. So Luckett and I, we're kids from Louisville, so we grew up with Thunder and the air show beforehand. And as a kid, the air show was just like, who cares? It's planes flying around up there. I'm going to throw a football around with my friends, and then when the fireworks show gets going, I'm fired up. I'm ready to roll. now I'm more fired up for the air show than the fireworks. Like, just get me there to watch the fighter jets roll around. See I don't know the names of any of these planes either. I probably should, like, that's definitely, it's like when you get into your mid-30s and 40s as an adult male, you learn about World War II, and then now it's planes. And even, maybe a little ornithology. Maybe I might do a little bit of bird watching. I don't know if it's just the dad strength coming out of me, but I love the planes. Give me more of the planes. Let's just have an air show for every home football game.
I'm not there yet, but I can see where you're getting to the point, and I'm not far from it where I like have my favorite pilots. Couldn't name a pilot a few years ago.
We get some trading cards?
Yeah. Mine is a Julius Bratton.
Oh, I hear he may have peaked, though. Might be a little over the hill. Are we surprised that, shouldn't Tom Cruise start doing these? Like, I feel like that's like the one thing he hasn't done yet. Like, he does all the stunts, but he might pull like a Tiger Woods and try to become one of those fighter pilots.
Oh, Tom Cruise is definitely doing that. I had a question from the flyover we had at UK Saturday. They had two guys honored, in the press box. We don't get to hear the whole experience, so it's a little muffled. They had two guys on the field in the uniform they were honoring. Those weren't the pilots that flew over, right?
Those were the pilots that flew over.
Where did they land that big bird to hop in a car and get into Kroger Field?
I guess.
Because they didn't land that in Lexington over here.
They didn't?
Did that big... Maybe?
Yeah. I mean, there's a runway. They're good pilots. They can land that bird.
It's a big runway, but that was a big bird.
It's a very large plane.
They were over there very quickly.
That's the bigger question.
It's more of a timing issue than where they sit her down.
Police escort, maybe?
I was impressed by that.
Yeah, very cool.
I didn't know, maybe they didn't jump out or they would have landed as part of the event.
Ooh, ghost ride the plane. Jump out.
Could have been it.
Yeah.
Regardless, nice touch, UK. Heroes Day is always fun.
Always a good time. Always good, too, when they just get almost 600 yards of offense. Don't see that very often in these parts here at the University of Kentucky. So it's good to see some offense when there wasn't penalties. Do you have any other direct takeaways from the game? We probably should mention Jordan Lovett had 2 picks. That was pretty sweet.
Third year in a row, multi-interception for him.
He's 7 now?
7 career interceptions now.
Anthony Brown-Stevens with a 2-pack also.
Nice. Had a couple scores from Cutter Boley. Trayvon Ribka is playing some good football now.
He's having a good year.
Yeah, he was. It wasn't always one of those that when you talked about Kentucky's defensive line, like there's a lot of guys in there, between Knox or Dion. Dion didn't play on Saturday. He was one of the holdouts. But like you had all these guys, and I feel like Ripka always got overlooked. But he had a nice sack against Tennessee. Had one Saturday against Murray State. Like, he's played well down the stretch here. So good to see some stuff from him.
Ripka's. I'm glad you brought him up. I would say he's potentially a draftable player this year. De'Eric Jackson.
After the year,
we've got to confirm that he does have an extra year, which is right because he only played 4 games in 21.
After
he got a COVID and a regular red shirt, so he could play 6 years. So he can come back. He's one nick. What is the injury? Can he test at the combine? What is that injury? I think that might be the determining factor on whether he decides to come back or not. I think he's a draftable player. For sure.
Stoops essentially said that it was never his plan.
Yeah.
This was going to be his
NFL,
last year.
Yes.
And then we never saw the injury happen. And the way Stoops described it, like, turns out he needed surgery. Yeah. So it's probably one of those things maybe you could play through and then, no, you can't, so now you need surgery.
Which is getting me over to my bigger overall point. Pop Johnson, draft pick. Maxwell Hairston, draft pick. Deion Walker, draft pick. It's 5 guys on defense. Dan Key, draft pick. Barian Brown, draft pick, because kick return, there's going to be value for him there. That's 7 guys. How many times have they got 7 guys in the draft? And Eli Cox is a guy I think will get consideration. They're going to have to replace a lot of draft picks off this team.
And where's it going to come from?
I don't think people really realize that. Just how,
well, and then the other part of the coin, too, is
Max and Walker Deion could get in the first round, and Max is a second round. I mean, that's 2 top 50 picks off your team.
And the point that I think more people are going to make, Drew, is how did you do that with that talent? And that was a conversation I had Sunday with a UK fan where he's like, I've seen some bad football over the years, but usually it's bad players, bad products. Like, we know there's talent, there's good players on this team. It's just the sum does not equal the parts.
Yeah, Luckett's right. And then looking ahead, you got a lot of NFL talent to replace. And as you've pointed out the math before, that's going to be hard to pull off. But in the moment, it's like, how in the hell is this team not winning games with all this talent? We said coming into the year, at least on paper, they're not doing it. But it could be the most talented offense they've ever had. That has clearly not happened. But you're looking at Waste and a Dane Key, whatever Barron Brown could have been. I think it's clear Jamori Macklin has more in him than whatever he's done this year. Mm-hmm. That offense has just completely wasted so many pieces, and overall, that just, when you're not winning these games, in turn, even though Dion and Max have played well when they're in on defense, the wins and losses just aren't matching the NFL talent you have on your roster.
It hasn't been happening. It's I don't like it. And
I think 7 would either tie the record or beat what they've had. They've had 6, I know. I couldn't remember if they've gotten up to 8 in a single draft.
Well, and then when you talk about replacing guys, too, I've been trying to, it was twice, was asking Stoops about, I mean, they played true freshman Antoine Smith a bunch. He got about 30 snaps. Javant Brown, who is a former 4-star guy from South Florida, he got about 25 snaps. There's another linebacker that I can't
What's the
think of.
long-term potential on Noah Matthews? That might be that dude looks awesome. I mean, he looks the part. In the little bitty snaps he's gotten in the last few weeks.
He's played an extensive amount, but he hasn't really, I would say, popped the playmaking.
Yeah.
And I mean more just physically looking, not what he's actually doing.
Off the bus, he looks the part.
That's what I mean.
But I think, like edge specifically, J.J. Weaver's another guy that I didn't mention.
Oh, yeah.
Has a chance to get drafted.
Mm-hmm.
That's one position where they really have to, they're going to have to go out and find someone that can make an impact for them, because that's a very important position in their defense. I think after Weaver, I think that position's probably they came short of expectations.
Oh, yeah,
I would say.
definitely. But then, but just looking forward, all of those young guys that played, you're kind of using this as an opportunity to see, well, can we play them next year, or do we got to go to the portal? And we're not exactly getting the ringing endorsement from the head coach that they're going to be able to play. So it's like, you've got all these guys that you've recruited out of high school, and then, but if you aren't going to play them, you got to go to the portal. How do you keep all of these guys here? It's a lot of math that ain't mathing right now.
Yeah, just Stoops today pointed out that Oregon has 14 transfer starters on their roster. Now, not all those guys were added this last year.
Yeah, like Birch has been there a couple of years.
Right. Tez Johnson, their top receiver, came from Troy. This is his second year there. So not all of those guys have been there. But they're making it sound like they want to have a big portal class. And we've covered this, written about it at KSR Plus. That cannot happen unless we see a bigger roster attrition than what we've seen. They are going to have getting close to 30 guys that are on scholarship leave the roster this year. And they've really hovered around 20. So they're going to have to go essentially 10 more than they have in the past. Mm-hmm. That's something they have not shown a willingness to do, and that's something, Nick, you're going to have to cut bait with maybe some young guys that you aren't ready to cut bait with.
Right, like in previous years, you were like, well, maybe we can get something out of them.
Well, and then Mark Stoops was just talking about how he didn't want to see some young development guys go somewhere where they're not playing. Well, you can't have your cake and eat it too there.
Can we break that down for a second? Why can't I have my cake and eat it too? Isn't the whole point of the cake to eat it? I don't understand that phrase at all.
It's not supposed to make sense.
I guess it's provocative.
It's the English language. Nothing makes sense.
I've never thought about that, but that really doesn't add up.
Yeah, you want your cake and eat it too? Yes. As a matter of fact, I got this cake. It's my birthday. I'm not just going to let it sit there. I'm going to eat the damn cake.
I think the thought of maybe it's a host versus guest. You can't be the host and the guest.
Maybe.
Because I can't think of a time I've ever had a cake and not eaten it.
Yeah, we're just going to let it. Unless you're entering it into the state fair to judge, or you're in one of those cake shows, Cake Boss. Is Cake Boss still a thing?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe or you provide a service. You can't be the consumer and the seller.
Ooh, or else you turn into Tony Montana. Can't dip into your own supply. What was Pineapple Express? He did that too. He dipped into his own supply a little bit.
Good movie.
Yeah. But regardless, December is going to be unhinged, and we're going to eat cake because we're going to need the energy to stay up late.
Oh, yeah.
Cover this.
Yeah, that's. There's going to be a lot of late night updates. I'm looking forward to the random times that we're going to be going live on the YouTube channel. So make sure you're subscribed to the KSR YouTube channel. Well, so much content happening right now. Women's basketball, men's basketball, football, all converging at the same time. Crossover season's never been crazier because, like I said, women's basketball, they're crushing it now too. That's a fun development.
They'll be playing here in a few hours too. Running it back.
Yeah, that's a quick turnaround.
It is. Didn't even get to have their cake after beating Louisville.
I would want cake after beating Louisville. Maybe
Jeff Ruby's cake, preferably.
Is that cake good? Have you had it?
I've had the shoe cake.
You should just go and go and get the cake.
Can I have my cake and eat it too?
Pro tip: the butter pie, which is just a standard dessert. It's not even expensive or fancy. I think it's just butter. It's delicious.
So is it like you get the tub and you dump it on some
I don't know how they make it, but it's just I think it comes with a little ice cream on it.
I'm tempted.
It's the best thing in life.
They got one of those movie theater butter machines back there.
I mean, it's not a hard sell. You tell me that I get to eat something called butter pie, I'm like, sure, I'll try some. That sounds delicious. Sounds wonderful. It's got me fired up for Thanksgiving, which... let me take a look at that.
It's hard to describe what it is, but
it kind of looks like a chess pie.
It's very chess pie-like.
Which, by the way,
chess pie's good.
Is butter pie? Is that number one in the pie rankings for Drew Franklin?
If it's the Jeff Ruby's butter pie, absolutely.
Regular. We're not doing Jeff Ruby's pies. We're just doing
regular pies because I've never experienced it beyond those walls. I won't rank it as high, just generally speaking.
But if you're a Franklin family Thanksgiving, you get all the pies out, and you've got to make a decision on which one you're going for first. What's it going to be?
Tough. My mom, Nancy Franklin, she makes great pies. In fact, you mentioned chess pie. Yesterday, she handed me a chess pie. I didn't ask for it. I was just at her house, and she's like,
the whole thing?
Well, it was wrapped in foil, so I left just thinking she handed me something. Didn't even, thanks, Mom. Don't know what this is. I'll figure it out when I get home. Text her, what the hell? You just gave me a whole chess pie out of nowhere?
How am I going to eat
So it hasn't even been 24 hours since I've had chess pie. That being said, her French silk pie is even better.
That's like
a chocolate,
right?
But it's this like mountains of
whipped cream.
Meringue, whipped cream, homemade though, on top of the chocolate.
I bet homemade meringue just
there you go.
blows the regular meringue out of the water. And for me, like some of the pie, it's seasonal, right? Like the strawberry pie in the summer, outstanding. But I'm not eating a strawberry pie right now. Like,
I wouldn't turn it down.
Yeah, but are you going for the pumpkin or the pecan first?
I see. I don't like the traditional pies
at all.
The holidays, no.
Well, what's the holiday dessert then?
I don't.
Beer?
Extra turkey.
So you're the turkey. I'm out on turkey.
You're double protein.
I'm out on. I will get turkey would be the least amount of food I will eat on Thanksgiving Day. Just sprinkle a little in with my mashed potatoes.
That's ridiculous. You should move to Canada or something.
I forgot key lime pie. That's my number one.
Well,
a little more summer.
Right, and like
more beachy.
My wife's family, they do
buffety.
a lemon dessert, like a lemon bars. But that, again, that's not a fall thing. Like I don't want lemon bars right now.
My dessert is wait 3 hours, then go make a club sandwich
with the turkey.
Yeah,
I get it. I can be more of a meat and cheese guy than a sweets guy.
Here's the other part too. I know it's probably different for the noon game. You're probably just going to do more breakfast, but I mean, wouldn't the smart tailgate for that Louisville game just be like double your Thanksgiving and just bring the leftovers to the Krog? Because
we brought a crave case one year.
Oh,
nice.
That's
for the nooner.
That's another thing. It hasn't been 3 days since I've had one of those.
Oh, wow.
Had a crave case on Friday.
Oh, man. Friday night, of course, right?
11 a.m. It was at our remote. Whiskey Thief had crave cases for anyone that came to KSR.
Were they cheeseburgers or the just original sliders?
It was a variety. Had some cheese sticks.
Over the summer during...
their fish sandwich is good. The White Castle I had here.
Brief paternity leave. It was like, all right, you handle baby. I'll take the boys out. We'll go to the park. And en route, we passed the White Castle. And when my kids... What's that? Dad, I'm like, it's White Castle. And they're like, well, we got to go to the castle. Mm-hmm. Had White Castles at like 12:30. There's a reason why you eat White Castles at 12:30 a.m. and not 12:30 p.m.
Yes. Same with Taco Bell to me.
And that's how you potty train your boys. You gave them White Castle sliders. To bring it back to...
It's probably not the boys you were worried about.
To bring it back around, what food is on our list for Austin? Are you all going to wait for the Franklin barbecue line? That's the famous one that takes 4 hours to get through? Or?
I'm fine with just doing Terry Black's and not wait 4 hours, because we did that at Dallas and they told us that but the Austin one's better. but it is a must. And if you're going out there, I think, Luckett, you might agree with this. You can't have too many meats. Like that's just not. There's no such thing as like 4 meats. No,
my stomach disagreed when it woke me up at 3 a.m. that night. But yeah, I would say the experience dining was excellent.
I appreciated the pork rib.
The pork rib was outstanding.
Yeah, and because the beef rib's a lot, and I don't,
Yeah, if I had to do it again, I wouldn't have got the beef. I would just got another pork rib.
But it's one thing too, Drew. I love brisket. Like Texas barbecue is the. But for me, I'm also I'm a sides guy. I'm a big sides guy. Got to have some potato salad or coleslaw. Like there's just no way around it. Prefer potato salad. Not the mustard base. Like I like a mustard base, but it's not my personal favorite of the choices. But here's the other thing we run into. It's like, I guess that probably should be the pregame meal Saturday, because if I eat too much Friday night, then how much am I really going to be able to enjoy Kentucky versus Jackson State?
Yes, Jackson State, the Tigers.
That's right.
Wait, not Jacksonville State?
No, Jackson State.
There's a
Jacksonville State.
Jackson State is where Deion Sanders coached. Jacksonville State is where Rich Rodriguez coaches.
Yes. Okay. Yes. All right. We've got that cleared up now. Good.
Josh Clemens went to Jacksonville State from Kentucky's backfield.
Man, that picture of him flexing is just that's just always, it's forever cemented on the brain. Maybe you're running back, you want to have bigger legs than arms, though. Quarterback, big arms.
I was a big Josh Clemens fan. Back to the Austin food real quick. Yes. I've been one time.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard of breakfast tacos.
Yeah, but got to find those. We had found one straight off the plane last time. But say I had 8 meals there. It was 4 days. I think I had Torchy's tacos 7 out of 8 times.
That good?
Yeah. So
is that a
Louisville has one now though, and Cincinnati. So it's kind of taken away the shine. I think it's across the river in Indiana.
Okay.
So we don't have to go all the way to Austin to get it. But tacos are high on my list for this trip.
Man.
Maybe in true KSR fashion, Nick, we can start our road trip by going to Indiana, get tacos, and then
I think it's just
drive
over the
to
bridge.
Texas.
It's pretty much Louisville. Y'all know how that works.
Yeah, but we need to go to Gary first. It's a KSR road trip. We got to go a little
going to Austin through Chicago in an SUV.
Oh, man, I'm looking forward to it. I should probably make sure that my license is suspended before making the drive down there.
Sounds like I'll be driving.
So I gotta take care of that before we go. We get a little DMV issue that we gotta.
Kind of want to hop in with you all.
Are you? I don't know. You've got enough road tripping.
I think my wife would have something to say about that, since this is kind of a vacation trip.
You aren't missing anything from in Little Rock.
All this is 14 hours of us planning out our bets.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. I would like to see her face when I say, listen, that Delta bird we're supposed to be on, you can keep going on it, but I'm going to be in Texarkana with Adam and Nick figuring out the Thursday slate.
Oh, man. That's going to be just go ahead. Don't bet the Steelers Thursday night. It's going to be ugly. Jameis is going to throw a bunch of picks, but he's probably going to have a weird touchdown or two. Under. Thursday night unders. Like, just except if the Bengals are playing, right? We're clear on that?
Yeah.
So we're good on that. Man, I didn't realize I'm fired up for the food now, but we gotta save enough room for the cold drinks. If you're going to Texas too, I remember there are weird beer rules. So
I don't know much about this.
So you can't, if you went up to buy a pitcher, Drew, you have to have a partner with you. Because
they don't think I'm capable of drinking a pitcher?
Something like, yeah. And I'm wondering if that's just a College Station rule, but I'm pretty sure it's a statewide thing, like kind of like a 2-beer limit. When you go to a football game, you can't just go get a bucket by yourself.
Can't go get copious amounts of alcohol without having another adult present.
But I would like to drink copious amounts of alcohol. So
there's a few people I know going that would be told that by a bartender and might lose it.
Yeah. I hope anyone that's watching this that likes copious amounts of fun will try to find us. We'll link up. Do things in the comments and Twitter and KS Board.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's going to be a great UK turnout, but with the basketball game Friday night and us being outnumbered, we all need to do our best to find each other.
Yeah. I think it'll be pretty strong.
Yeah, we'll be friends. We'll all be friends. Don't be a stranger. The blue cowboy hat, it's coming back, Drew, so I hope you're ready for that.
Nice. You'll be easy to find.
Oh, yeah. The big tall guy with a big blue cowboy hat on. So I'm as much as the game over-under series of Arch Manning at 1.5.
I'd say under.
Under?
I think it'll be close enough where they won't want to pull him because they're still going to want to get, I think, Ewers reps still at this point in the season.
What if Ewers throws 2 picks in the first quarter and he's just seeing ghosts in
like
Kentucky,
the Georgia game?
He's about to run away with it.
I mean, like,
what about that scenario?
And that's the hardest part about premium. Like, that's on the table. Kentucky down by 50, and Manning plays the whole fourth quarter is on the table. Any possible outcome can happen in this football game, which is why that 20.5 has to just stay away.
Listen, if we win, I'll be on the table. I can promise you that.
I would. I mean, what fan fiction here?
Yeah, let's talk about where the after party is going to be. Where are we taking this goalpost?
I mean, how many will you get carpal tunnel from throwing horns down? Oh. This is our first chance to throw horns down.
Oh. That's another thing I haven't really considered. I've been thinking, what should I pack? What's the weather? Where are we going to find barbecue? I hadn't even thought about all the horns down I could potentially be doing.
Early weather report looks outstanding.
Oh, and just the horns down.
Oh, man. I had one of the guys in my group, we're meeting people that live in Texas. Wife's got a lot of friends there. It's a big part of the trip. And he goes to a lot of games in Texas. And he told me, he's like, you're not going to be well received there. And I'm thinking, we're Kentucky. We're a 21-point underdog. We're harmless. But he says he's kind of got me into thinking they might be assholes down there. And I don't want any trouble. But if they want trouble, we'll bring it back. But I'm just saying, most places are very hospitable to Kentucky football. Like I said, we're a 3-touchdown underdog. Are they really that bad down there?
I know one who isn't bad, and that's the Minister of Culture. I want to see Kentucky fans getting pictures with McConaughey. Chances he's on the sideline for this game, or does he only show up for the big ones?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would like to see that. One other thing that's going to throw me off. Every time Steve Sarkisian talks, I'm just like, that voice doesn't match that person's face. Have you ever noticed that?
I have.
It's like it's just much higher pitch. Like, I expect kind of a gravelly voice guy. Don't get that with Sark. Especially a guy named Sark. Like, Sark, he's smoking a pack a day. Yeah. He's at the corner of the bar.
Sark will fix your carburetor.
Yeah, he's got the TVG on the small
He's
T.
your neighborhood bookie.
Yeah, but like, Sark isn't this kind of in the lab offensive guru who's just like kind of nerding out in the numbers.
He's the guy you call at the track to get a bet in.
Because you're not allowed to go there. Yeah.
Or you get in trouble and it's like, were you with Sark again? Yeah, I told you about hanging out with him. It's just always up to something.
Oh, man. Well, we're going to be up to something on Saturday.
And Friday.
Oh, yeah, definitely Friday. Friday, we're going to really be up to something. A lot of Saturday's content.
We're still excited and optimistic on Friday.
Yes. And the basketball team, they're going to get a big win. And so we're going to be we're riding high, which time out on the football podcast. How freaking awesome was it beating Duke?
That was fun. Good times. Good times were had.
Man. Hate those guys. It felt so good. And the other part too, just you're callous, your scars. Like, it's been a rough football year. They've lost a lot of close basketball games. I just did not expect that to happen in Drew down the last few minutes. I'm like, they're close, but like it's not actually going to happen. And then when it did, you're like, oh my God, they did it!
And how they did it? It wasn't like it got hot and threw in a bunch of
grinding it out.
Yeah, proved might have a little something there.
Old Sark, he lost a bunch of money on it. He was heavily he took a bath from that one. All right, he wasn't expecting the dogs to get home. You kind of roll the dice. We're going to try to get together a nice preview of what you can expect on 11 personnel Wednesday. Mark Stoops basically said that we're playing the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend. Best cornerbacks in football, best offensive line. I mean, he was going through it.
Pros of pros.
Pros all over the place. So, is Dion going to be back? Is JJ going to be back? Maybe.
Gotta wait for Wednesday.
Get that availability report. But we do know Brock Vandagriff, he's going to be QB1. He's led him to a top 10 win on the road. Kentucky's been competitive in all these games. So even though Kentucky is heavily outmatched, they're probably going to play a good football game on Saturday. So hopefully they put out a good product, and it's something that people were talking about. Like, can you believe Kentucky's taking Texas down to the wire? We're getting a lot of that, and we're just throwing them horns down in Austin. We'll see you there.
This is how you do it.
Go Cats and go Kroger and BBN.